Healthy Rebel Radio is sponsored by the Healthy Rebel app. 300 plus secretly healthy, delicious, mouth-watering dessert and treat recipes made with all-natural, whole food ingredients. Now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Find out more details at healthyrebel.com.
Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Deiser. I'm here with my Daily Health Healthy Rebel co-founder, Amy Lane. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a few quick health and wellness stories to review today. We're starting with the Olympic news of the day, which has been, all over the place. These big circles on Phelps' shoulders. Michael Phelps has been doing cupping, and I'm sure most people know by now because no one has shut up about it.
I find it really strange because I remember 7 to 10 years ago when Gwyneth Paltrow showed up at, I don't know if it was the Oscars or something, and she had the cupping things all over her back. I felt like everyone was informed what it was then. I feel like that was the first time mainstream media was like, what is this? Mm-hmm. I find it strange that they're finding
people just need something to talk about. It's just back in the news. Jennifer Aniston as well, 4 years ago. Remember that? That was another
Yeah, I guess I feel like I thought it was not out there, in mainstream.
Cupping is awesome. I'm not surprised that Michael Phelps is using it. I'm not surprised lots of Olympic athletes are using it. I think that, I don't know, there's lots of good reports coming out about it, but most people are saying, it's placebo. There's no good studies showing its effectiveness for pain reduction and healing. That may be true, but it works like a charm. It's amazing.
Well, it's an ancient Chinese...
It is. It's been done for thousands of years.
Yeah, I feel like the Chinese are just whatever. I don't care if you haven't seen the studies. It works. Don't use it. Whatever.
Exactly.
But anyone I've heard that does use it does find relief.
As long as it's used in the right circumstance. There's... What cupping is, I should explain it. Basically, there's two different types. You have a tight muscle, and you apply the cup to the muscle. And then you can either use heat with glass, so you put the heat in the glass and then take it out and then attach the glass to the back, and it pulls the fascia away from the muscle. Or you use the newer contraptions, which is what I use, is the suction cups. So I have two different types actually of those as well. One is a manual suction and one is a pump. And you apply it to the muscle and it pulls the fascia away from the muscle and creates a bruise in the area. You can see on Michael Phelps' back that they're perfect circles. That's when the cup is just left where it is. Oftentimes we'll use Traumeel or Arnica or other healing creams on the area, put the cup on, and then move the cup around. And it's like you can do a deep tissue massage in about 4 minutes.
That's what I was going to say. No one denies the power of a deep tissue massage. No one would say, it's just hearsay. There's no great evidence.
The difference is you're breaking the blood vessels. So if you do it long enough, you get a bruise.
Right. So what I was going to ask is, how long do those bruises take to heal?
Depends on the person. Some people it's just 24 hours. Some people it can take a week. Depends on your platelet levels and your red blood cell production.
So it's not something you'd want to do before, if you have to, before a wedding. Or...
No, exactly. And we have these other little guys that we can do at the top of the traps where they insert into the skull, and they're visible no matter what you're wearing, right? Because they're on the back of the neck. So we have to ask patients if they're okay, obviously, with having a visible bruise. Bruises don't always happen. No, yeah. It depends on the length of treatment and what's actually required. Oftentimes, when I don't do it, people don't. When I do it, people don't bruise. So, anyways, the fascia is pulled away from the muscle, and you get a rush of blood flow to the area, which can be very healing. It's creating an inflammatory response. In many conditions, this is not called for. In joint injuries, any acute injury. It's not called for. There's already inflammation there. In stiff muscles or post-exercise, when you're not dealing with a joint, when you're dealing with a muscle, to aid in healing of that muscle, you can do it. Not to be done on joints. Anyways,
so a buildup of lactic acid.
The reason that all the media is talking about lactic acid is because when you bring blood flow to an area, you're going to flush lactic acid. It's great.
And that helps healing. So it's really the same types of theories as deep tissue massage, this on a lighter level, like the derma rolling that's really in style right now, using those rollers to even roll out your muscles, acupuncture, like a lot of those, it's the same. I don't know why everyone finds it so jarring and shocking.
Effleurage, even a light massage can do the same thing.
It's the same.
Now, the one difference I want to mention here is those rollers for your muscles, the physio rollers. There was a study that came out a couple of years ago that said they're actually damaging. It's actually going to create more inflammation, and it's going to reduce healing because it's such a widespread treatment. Now, I'm not sure where I stand on this. What I do know is that if someone has a knot or an insertion point of a muscle that's really bugging them, then I like cupping. I often don't recommend the rollers. I would think something, if you're clearing lactic acid, if that's the purpose, I would do something more gentle. Stretching, going from the ice bath to the heat.
What about, like, if you're just trying to drain fluids, like, get your lymph flowing? What about the roller for that?
It could be helpful. I mean, it's a little aggressive. The thing
or
about
you
these
do,
rollers,
like, skin brushing, probably.
I would much rather do skin brushing. The thing about these rollers is the most common use of them is for the IT band and the TFL, or the ITB and the TFL, which is the lateral side of your thigh, and it's that's a very specific treatment because that fascia can become very tight. Yeah. Lymph nodes are different. Lymph nodes are very sensitive, and skin brushing is enough. You know. Anyhow, cupping, it's very cool. I love it, especially for tight traps. You can see Phelps's shoulder, around his shoulder blade is where it's being done mostly, and the back of his shoulder. But I find the most benefit for tight traps. Yeah, he does butterfly and freestyle, which is a lot of lat work. So I'm sure that they're trying to get lat insertion around the upper back or the mid back, I should say. Anyhow, cupping, very cool. The second story today is another one about sleep. I think when I saw this, I said, I gotta bring this up, even though we talk about sleep so much. What the study is, it shows the key to a happy marriage, Amy. And you're not going to be surprised, is a good night's sleep. Does that shock you?
No.
Anyways, there's flaws in this. You probably saw this. It came out, it was being published in the New York Times, somewhere else. It was a study of people who were recently married. 6 months in. The average age was 24, so this doesn't apply to most people. But I thought it was very interesting.
My reaction.
They're young and they're recently married. What they found was they would follow these people, a lot of them 68 or 65 or something, and they said, for 6 months after the wedding, let's do this. There are 2 questionnaires every morning when you wake up. Basically, you say how many hours you slept, and then you fill in the questionnaires.
I see a flaw already.
What's your flaw?
My flaw is that if you are under a stress circumstance, there's a high probability that you don't sleep a lot. And when you have anybody in a relationship with high stress levels, first of all, it's transferable. Stress is contagious. So both stress levels would be elevated, therefore you would sleep less, therefore your marriage wouldn't be as...
I love this. Correlation does not mean causation.
Right.
If we're going to talk causation, we need to step back and look at a holistic approach to diagnosis.
But it can go the other way too.
It can.
Because you and I have both been sleep deprived, therefore we were stressed. Therefore, if someone analyzed our marriage at the time, they'd be like, okay, this isn't a high point.
Exactly.
No matter what, sleeping for sure makes your marriage better.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But causation is an individual thing, and I think you're so right. That's why you take everything with a grain of salt to apply it to your specific circumstances. We talk about this all the time.
But that doesn't mean you negate the information, because...
Absolutely no.
The fact of the matter is, if you do have proper sleep, proper nutrition, and proper exercise, which is all under the realm of self-care, you are going to have a better marriage.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that it's like... stressing yourself out and pushing yourself to do things for the other person, whatever. But in reality, what it is, you have to fill yourself up.
Exactly.
And that you're so full that you are completely present and overflowing within a marriage. That's what I think anyway. That's how it works for us.
Oh, yeah.
If you're taking care of yourself, if I'm taking care of myself, then we can be the power couple that we want to be.
That's right.
But if one of us is lacking, then the other starts lacking.
Oh, I'm obsessed with self-care. You know this about me. I talk about it all the time. I think self-care is incredibly important because you're right. It centers you and gives you that ability to contribute to others.
It's the only way.
What they also found in this was that, I mean, I'll go through the things that that improved in the relationship, but on a personal note, this is all with regards to time. It wasn't even quality of sleep. The longer someone slept, the better decisions they believe they made, the better self-satisfaction they had, which is what you're saying. Not only did they feel better because they're sleeping longer, but they felt better about themselves, which obviously spills over. And then their working memory was improved. So this prefrontal cortex idea that we're talking about with being able to make decisions in the moment with regards to diet and exercise.
And all of that, just if you live life and have been either sleep deprived or rested, you can say is valid.
Oh, yeah.
That's not questionable.
Totally. The people who slept longer noted better satisfaction in their relationships and better experiences on a day-to-day basis within the couple.
Right, and you can look at that in two ways. You can either say it's due to the other person's lack of sleep or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, because like when we're in a relationship, we like to blame the other person a lot. Mm-hmm. But when you really step back and look at it, it's you and your reactions.
Right.
Right?
The ego reaction that we often...
Or just visceral reaction because you're so effing overtired. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you can't stand anything. We've all been to that place where something is, you know, we're overtired, we're cranky, we're overworked, whatever, and then something annoys us.
Mm-hmm.
But on
that normally is not
it's
an
just
issue.
like, it's not normally going to be a thing.
Like, you know me, the reason I even bring up ego is because as you're talking about this, I'm remembering my sleep-deprived days and just how right I think I am in every circumstance when I'm sleep-deprived.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on you, analyzing you definitely were that, which it was a defense mechanism to get done what you had to get done, because you just didn't have time to toil in other ideas kind of deal. But the other thing I noticed about you is you were incapable of being present in social circumstances or comprehending how other people felt.
Oh yeah, it just didn't click.
Like, there's certain things that you say to me now.
It was a wash.
Yeah, like you say to me now, certain things like, yeah, I was in this circumstance, and like how this person must have felt, or the reaction, or how I was interacting in this, and you confuse yourself.
Oh yeah.
But when you break that all down, it was literally lack of sleep. Mm-hmm.
And lack of coffee, I would say.
Don't start.
Don't go there?
No.
Can you make up for this with coffee?
No.
No, you shouldn't try. You should not try. Oh yeah, it's so true.
And I think a lot of us, if you can get humble enough to analyze certain situations and take away the blame, we can see where lack of sleep.
Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people don't think of, and I often revert to this, is that idea of getting humble enough.
I know.
It's kind of, if you say it in a different tone, it's kind of motivating.
I think it is. It's like how I use embarrassment. I think embarrassment...
If I can get embarrassed enough,
then I will change.
Yeah.
I will never go back to a certain behavior again. If I can get to that humble place of actually recognizing that, oh, this is my contribution to this behavior, and then if I can get embarrassed about my behavior, there's only up from there for me.
If I can recognize I'm not a victim of anything, look at the things that I can do. You know, like there's, if you can rephrase, like we had this discussion last week about outlook. Mm. If you can rephrase something, you can change the way the brain sees it just by rephrasing it verbally. Because we're so sensitive to verbal cue.
I know. Certain words really trigger us.
And the tone of the word.
Yeah, tone's something I try to work on. Doesn't always.
It doesn't always, but see, you find a different tone more motivating in a different way than I would.
I just love honesty. Mm-hmm. And I've learned from experience, and you've really helped me in the last decade learn that not everyone is receptive of honesty. Yeah. So you have to...
Yeah. I had someone tell me yesterday that because I was saying, like, I just feel like, you're very passionate, and I feel like you're really goal-driven, and, this is why you've had sort of these successes. And she's like, well, yeah, everyone says that I'm mean.
Well, that's a woman then. Was it a female?
It was, oh yeah.
That's why.
And I was like, well, I just think, I'm into spicy. There's a difference between,
Yeah, powerful women are called bitches. I mean, that's one of our problems.
It's an issue. It's an issue, and it's not fair.
It's not fair. Because I say it all the time. If I was a man, if you just switched my gender, people would be all over it.
Being direct and to the point is not mean.
No, it's confident when you're a man.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It's, you're a bitch when it's a girl.
Right.
When you are powerful in your decision making and you stand up for yourself and you're a man, you're a powerful leader. You're going somewhere. You're going to get paid more. Mm-hmm. Women don't want to be friends with you if you're that as a like that's what I've learned in life. Like it is messed up. It drives me crazy, the gender, because and then people will say to me, like, people have said to me many times, like, things like, oh, you have little man syndrome, or, like, basically saying, like, you're way too masculine.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I'm not. I'm a female.
Yep.
You just think that certain things are for certain sexes.
Yeah, because your ideals are a certain way, and this is how you perceive my actions because of your experience.
Well, I just never believed that I had to behave or be a certain thing because I'm a female. And it's been hard. Because it would have been easier.
That's the way to, it's really the way to be.
Well, it's the easiest way to get along with society. If you just tone down your power, and you just be really nice, and you don't really say your opinion, and you don't stand up for yourself. And
there's going to be no resistance.
It's just, it's like little things. Like if you and I handle a situation, say in business, say like a refund or something.
Yeah.
If I handle it, people basically write back, you're a bitch, and I'm disappointed in you, and how dare you, whatever. If you handle it, they're like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
No, what is that?
I know, it's sad. It's not fair
and
at
it's
all.
Completely just because of our genders. Because I swear, if I just switched my name, it has nothing to do with the content. If I just said my name was Adam, people would have a different reaction.
For sure. And you create situations where you surround yourself with people who, understand.
I've had to.
Yeah, I mean, you have to set boundaries in life in order to.
Well, I've lost a lot of girlfriends based on that. Why can't you just come and drink wine on Fridays and talk about The Bachelor? And I just can't.
Right. Yeah.
It's
a choice, right?
I can't.
And it's not something that should be happening, but it happens.
Well, and it's just about, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The final story that I want to talk about today is with regards to spanking your kids. The reason this has come up is because an article was just published. It was a research review from decades of research looking at parents spanking their kids and what is it doing to them. And it was published by some people at the University of Texas at Austin, the University of Michigan as well, and it was published in the Journal of Family Psychology. 5 decades, 160,000 children were included in the complete research review. What they found was, they made the distinction here, separating from abuse, the idea of spanking your kids as a disciplinary measure, just a normal spanking. This is what they tried to figure out.
Okay.
With the separation, what happened? The kids who got spanked were more likely to defy their parents and experience increased antisocial behavior, aggression, mental health problems, and cognitive difficulties later in adolescence and subsequent adulthood. The same results that occurred when kids were abused.
So what does this mean? Does this mean that spanking is abuse?
Are they the same thing? Because of the results. Now, of course, we're talking about correlation and causation again. Just because you spank your kids and they develop mental health problems and cognitive difficulties doesn't mean it was because of the spanking. It could have been just who they were before.
Or
because we are seeing this, and this is such a huge...
The mental emotional effects of being threatened with being hit.
Yeah.
It's never like the action of actually being hit.
No, you're right. It's most likely the click in the brain that says, wait a minute, why am I being hit?
This person loves me, so they're hitting me. That's not, I think, because children come into this world, these perfect little open-eyed wonders, and then we put all our crap on them.
Right.
And I think it would break a brain of a child that I love you, and I love you so much that I'm going to physically hurt you because I don't want you to physically hurt yourself. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense when you just break it down rationally.
Yet, in their polling on multiple different websites, they found that 80% of, I believe it was Americans or North Americans, felt that certain kids need to be spanked.
Yeah, I can't believe that it's still a debate.
80%.
I still can't believe it's still a debate.
Mm.
But I've watched programs where there are Americans that are like about their guns the same way.
Yeah, I mean,
like you're not going to take away their right to hit their kids.
This is how I was raised.
I always love that excuse.
Yeah, you're not going to take my right to hit my kids. Yeah, foolish.
No, I love this is what happened to me, so.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love that. I love the just because it happened to you, you're
back in my day.
Yeah. Look, so
racism was cool.
Yeah, like, we also didn't have seatbelts, and our parents smoked in the cars with the windows rolled up. Like, we learn from the past, or we repeat it. So what are we doing? But that's not an excuse anymore.
I need to read you some of these quotes.
Unless back in the day it was a beautiful thing that has done something great.
Oh, for sure. And those things are easy to see, right? I mean, you can...
But I mean, come on.
You can evaluate those things pretty easily. But the thing is, people think, oh, I turned out fine. My kids will be fine.
No, you're hitting your child.
Yeah. We found that spanking was associated with unintended detrimental outcomes and was not associated with more immediate or long-term compliance, which are parents' intended outcomes when they discipline their children. Adults who were spanked as children were also more likely to support physical punishment for people who were spanked as children were also more likely to support physical punishment for their own children, and on goes the cycle. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
No.
I mean, the core thing here is, as a society, we think that spanking and physical abuse are distinctive behaviors, but because of the results, we can pretty much say, oh, they're probably the same thing. So, I mean, anyhow, it's not good, but it's a good wake up call, and maybe that number of 80% who believe in it will be reduced. I don't know if this is going to go mainstream. Phelps has got bruises on his shoulders. That's going to be...
Yeah, I mean...
Anyhow, one last thing about cupping. If you haven't tried it, it doesn't really hurt. It's kind of weird in the moment. It's a discomfort feeling, but it goes away pretty quickly. But you will be bruised. Like, there's a high probability. Anyhow, it's great. If you're going to get someone to do it, go to someone who's done it before.
Yeah,
knows what they're doing. Don't do it at home.
No, don't just try it at home.
That's Healthy Rebel Radio for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher Radio. And to get episodes to your inbox weekly, subscribe to our newsletter at damiehealth.com. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.
See you.
Healthy Rebel Radio is presented by the online health and wellness center, damiehealth.com. Since 2009, Amy Lane has successfully coached thousands of women through her signature program, the Bikini Body Program. Join today to work exclusively with Amy to unveil your greatest yet to be from the inside out. Go to damiehealth.com for more information.
Thank you for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. Please connect with us on our community pages on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all at the handle @DamieHealth. For weekly recipes, articles, and all our episodes straight to your inbox, join our newsletter at damiehealth.com. You can find all the links discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow.